what really grinds my gears?
What the hell is wrong with you?
What the hell is wrong with you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. After a 2-week hiatus, Ryno's Rants is back. So we kind of missed out on the draft a little bit with some of the due to other circumstances, but figured we'd hit a little bit of stuff here, most notably, of course, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Nick, I wasn't in Thailand, Nick. I was in the Philippines. Drew, good evening. Raymond, good evening. Nick, Doc Proto, My Worthless Opinion, Reggie, everybody, thank you as always for joining. Again, like we said, we'll do a little bit more in-depth draft analysis on Friday when Lance and I do the main show. But figured we would kind of hit the quarterback position. Of course, all the hype and the pomp and circumstance and everything going into the draft was that the Vikings were rumored to be looking at taking a quarterback very early. That, of course, did not happen with C.J. Stroud going number 2, Bryce Young going number 1, Anthony Richardson going forward to Indianapolis. And hey, Anthony, thanks for joining. The interesting thing about, we had another kind of a Malik Willis type deal this year with, the talks at the beginning of the week before the draft of Will Levis possibly going as high as number 1. Fell all the way out of the first round. Kind of put a little credence to what Ben Gessling had said, Star Tribune writer, the week before the draft when he was on K-Fan. He had said that the Vikings would pass on Will Levis if he was there at 23, and they did exactly that. Thought there was a potential for him to maybe go after Hooker, but of course he ended up in Detroit. So the Vikings waited until the 5th round and drafted one Jaren Hall out of BYU. Kid's got some talent. He's I haven't done a ton of research on him again, but I've been starting here the last couple of days trying to catch up on things, and there's things to like about his game. He's from a personal standpoint, he's a very high character kid. Of course, he did his 2-year mission for the Mormon Church, so he is 25 years old, but basically body wise is of a 23. But player wise, very, very confident, poised in the pocket, good accuracy, touch on the deep balls. Hey, GMAC is here. Good on, very, very accurate quarterback, which is one thing that Kevin O'Connell does look for. His career stats, he's got over 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 53 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Probably most importantly, he is that mobile quarterback who, he's not a run first kind of guy, or he's not a guy that's going to, after his first read isn't there, he's going to take off and run like a Justin Fields or somebody like that. He is a pocket quarterback, but he can extend plays, make plays with his legs if he has to. I mean, he rushed for almost 800 yards and 9 touchdowns in his career. And we got music trivia and arguing going on in the comment section. Doc, we'll get to that in a second here. a couple other quick things on Hall before we move on. Some of the possible downsides into maybe why he fell into the fifth. He's a bit on the smaller side. He's only 6 foot tall. That's a concern for some people. Toons is in the house. Hey, Toonses. He's 20, of course, like I mentioned earlier, 25 years old, but he took 2 years off for this mission, so doesn't have the wear and tear of a normal 25-year-old. Does not have a cannon of an arm, but arm strength is sufficient to make all the throws. And probably the more concerning thing is he has dealt with injuries over his career. So, the durability thing may be a concern. But anyway, so I wish I was 25 again. You and me both, G-Mac. That jet lag's been kicking my ass for the last 4 days. I still haven't caught back up since I got home, but I have a 5 and a 2 in my age. And I got a 4 and an 8, but anyway, here, let's roll into the whole what are we going to do at the quarterback position here? Doc posts this up. It said if Kirk has a good season as last year, we should extend, don't have a clear succession plan. That is option number 1, I believe, still on the table. Extending Kirk Cousins. I think if Kirk had been amicable to a 1 or maybe 2 year extension earlier this year, I think the Vikings would have done that. The way it sounded, Kirk wanted at least a 3-year deal. Vikings were not willing to go that long. They want to do, a 1 to 2 year deal, which I think if Kirk would change his mind and say, okay, we'll do that, I think the team would. Just to give us a little bit more of a little bit more time to come up with the succession plan. Kirk's 35. At 36, he would still be, at a point where he's likely going to be still playing at a high level. Reggie getting hate about injuries very well. Very intriguing, not Spurgeon win. No, I don't think he's Spurgeon win either. The kid's he's a developmental project. He's not, going to be near ready to play this year, I don't think. Dan, hope Hall either becomes great or we draft a quarterback next year. That is one of the other options we'll hit here in a minute. I think the idea of a 1 year extension for Kirk Cousins is a very legitimate possibility if, here again, Kirk has to agree to it. But there's that one. Option number 2, and we've heard rumblings about this, rumors back and forth. It's the rumor that just won't die. Trey Lance from San Francisco can potentially probably get him for like a 3rd round pick, the way it sounds. Now, is San Francisco willing to part with him without getting something in return? That would probably, if we went for Trey Lance, that would probably involve a Kirk Cousins trade, which, due to salary cap constraints and that kind of stuff, we can't do it before a June 1st. We would end up eating $38.5 million in dead cap if we traded him prior to June 1st. After June 1st, we actually saved $10 million to the cap. Hall likely gets 0 snaps in the regular season. Yeah, I doubt it unless there's he probably isn't going to be active for most games because I'm assuming Nick Mullins is still going to be quarterback 2. They may have to they may have to make a decision on whether to carry 3 quarterbacks or, see if they can sneak Hall onto the practice squad, or if they like what they see enough in him to maybe make him quarterback 2 and let Mullins out, I guess. Training camp starts in a couple of months. We'll find out there. But back to the Trey Lance thing. I honestly don't, the San Francisco and Kirk thing, it's just the rumor that will not die. I honestly don't see that as being a deal. Give Rosen his walking papers. We already did that, Nick. Rosen's gone. They dropped him after the wild card game. So on to option number 3. The development of Jaren Hall, as we're kind of been talking back and forth here. Do they think he could potentially become a starting quarterback in this league? Maybe. Like I said, I've watched some tape on him. I don't know enough about him yet and honestly, the team doesn't even know enough about him to have an idea as to whether or not he's going to be anything more than a backup / spot starter. I know there was somebody, I forget, one of the write-ups I was reading on him compared him to a Gardner Minshew type player. So, that's mid-level starter, quality backup kind of guy. I don't know. Hall starts mid-season at earliest next year. That all depends, Ant, if they're, if they think Hall is their guy, if they see enough in him this year to think that that's a possibility. Next year's quarterback class is crazy. That it is, Reggie. The ones that, we don't know for sure who all's going to come out yet, but of course, that is the option 4 in the quarterback room, is to go all in and get your guy next year. Whether that is, doing what you need to do to move up to get Caleb Williams or Drake Maye. But there's a ton of quarterbacks that could potentially be coming out. As Drew had brought up, J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan is a possibility. You also have Michael Penix from Washington. You've got Quinn Ewers from Texas. You've also got Bo Nix out of Oregon. There's there's no shortage of quarterbacks right now that could potentially be coming out next year that are guys that are coming in with a lot of hype to this season. Now, of course, as we see every year, we're going to have some guys that go up and some guys that go down, and somebody's going to come out of nowhere and run up the draft boards. And Drew, I take it you're not an Ewers fan? Reggie, preseason's not going to tell us a lot, just for them to get reps and a little wet behind the ears. Yeah, that's preseason's very vanilla. Purple and gold. Hey, what's up, Justin? Ewers was the number 1 recruit in the nation a couple of years ago. Had a good season last year. Yeah, I kind of like his game a little bit. He's how was the trip? It was fun, but it was long, and the travel sucks going that far. No, I had a great time over there and enjoyed myself considerably. And the people were all great and beautiful beaches and all kinds of good stuff. Anthony, I am not going to mention your buddy because he's going to be a 5th, 6th round quarterback. We just drafted one of them. We don't need another one. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm like I said, still trying to catch up here, but I want to get you guys' opinions of the 4 options I listed out. What do you think the Vikings are going to do? What do you think the best is going to do? GMAC, I was in the Philippines for 10 days, so it's to me, all 4 of those options I put up, I think are legit possibilities. Yeah, that's who he's talking about, Reggie, but I'm not going to mention him because we all know we've had enough about Florida State quarterbacks that we don't need to get involved with any more of those. Toon says maybe we won't even need a quarterback next year. I suppose we could run the Wildcat. Or we got, as it sits right now, we'd be looking at Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall unless, we bring Kirk back, which, again, is a very distinct possibility. One that I'm not necessarily opposed to. I've had this discussion many, many times back and forth. What about Hall? That's that's one of the options too. It says if can he develop? I think that O'Connell obviously saw something in him, or they wouldn't have wasted a draft pick on him. We still had enough places of need that we could have drafted other players if if they were just picking a quarterback to pick a quarterback. We can always franchise Cousins next year. Actually, we can't. Well, we could, but since he was franchised twice in Washington, the franchise tag would be in excess of $55 million for Kirk for next year if we were to do that. I want no part of even considering a franchise tag on him, and there may have even been something in his last contract where they can't franchise him. It seems to me I remember something about that, but there's no way in hell I'm paying $55 million to Kirk Cousins next year either. So all Capital State quarterbacks are trash. The best in played basketball. Justin, I feel really good about Hall. I think one redshirt year behind Kirk and he'll be ready, but you're biased. I'm not opposed to that. I hope the kid can show, if he shows out, in practice and stuff, training camp, things like that, where they could get a good feel for him. It very well could be. Hall has an ideal situation to sit behind Kirk and be coached by KOC. That is the biggest thing. That's one thing that we've talked about many times when you've got some of the people that are saying that there's no way we can get rid of Kirk or any of that stuff, because we brought Kevin O'Connell in here because he's an offensive-minded coach, because he was a quarterback himself, because he can work with quarterbacks, and we brought him and Kwesi in to find their guy. Now, if they think Jaren Hall is that guy, then we have to give them the opportunity to prove that he is, or find out that he's not. You start hitting those mid-round draft picks. Quarterbacks are always a crapshoot, but they obviously saw something in the kid, and I'm more than willing to be patient and see if they can make something out of him. He could potentially turn out to be the next great quarterback. We don't know. You know, it's a crapshoot. I mean, there's a very good possibility that at least one, if not two of those guys at the beginning of that were drafted at the beginning of round one don't pan out. I have my doubts about CJ Stroud personally, especially playing in Houston. I think Bryce Young is going to be a good player. Now, with Frank Reich in Carolina, I think he stands a better chance of developing into something. Anthony Richardson is of course, probably the biggest question mark. The upside is through the roof on it, but you know, he's also a boomer bust thing. He was a guy I was willing to take a chance on, but of course that didn't happen. Check out Tyler and Dave's show tonight. Tyler did an awesome breakdown of Hall and Addison. Absolutely. Once you're done here, go check out their show. Check and listen to that. Great analysis as always, I'm sure. Take tunes as long as we don't extend Kirk. At least one of the top 4 quarterbacks will bust, absolutely. Richardson will be a mess as a rookie if he plays much, but the Colts don't seem to be in a hurry. That's very possible, GMAC. And from the way it sounds is they plan on playing him right away. I know the GM over there had said that he knew it was a risk to take him, but he would rather take a risk on him and fail than watch him be a star someplace else. And, you know, if they're going to give the opportunity there for that, be patient with him. I think he's going to turn out. Of course, you've got Shane Steichen over there, the new head coach, who was the offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts in Philly. So I think, you know, if he can do the same kind of stuff with Richardson that he did with Hurts, I think that bodes well for him as well. Quarterbacks are a crapshoot, just like you said. That's why you don't mortgage the future. To a point, I agree with that, Drew. But you know, you also don't typically find that franchise quarterback by just sitting on your thumb and waiting for one to fall to you. Myself, we've tried that for however many years, basically the entire history of the franchise. It hasn't worked. And with our history of some of the, you know, especially if you look back at the Spielman years, how many first round draft picks didn't pan out, and we still ended up being quote unquote competitive. I'm fine with moving up to go if you're convinced that there's a guy up there that you want and it's going to be that way. I'm not against going up and doing it, but to each their own. We better hope Hooker doesn't hit in Detroit because I think Goff's going to get exposed. I don't think Goff is losing that starting job this year. I mean, for starters, Hooker I don't think won't be ready to go. They say he's making good progress with that ACL injury, but I don't necessarily hate Jared Goff in that offense over there. I mean, he's played better than a lot of people give him credit for. I mean, the NFC North is kind of funny right now because you have guys like Goff and to an extent Kirk that don't get any credit whatsoever. But now all of a sudden the entire NFL media is riding the jock of Justin Fields, and I have yet to figure out why. I don't know why. I mean, he threw for what, 155 yards the entire season last year, it seemed like. Ran for 35,000 yards, but only threw for 155. Don't think Goff loses his job. I don't want Hooker to be good the next 10 years. I think he runs that possibility of being good. Goff's coming into I think isn't he going into the last year of his deal too? So there's a potential there. Has to be a team that wants to trade, which isn't a guarantee. That's also true, GMAC. Depends on what you want to give up and how many other offers there are and things like that. So it's not as simple as, hey, we want to trade up to number 2, number 3. Hooker starts at some point next year just so they can make Hooker jokes. Well, come on, Toots, it's perpetually 12, and the jokes are going to just write themselves right there. I mean, it's the only thing that would have been better is if Hendon Hooker and Keyshawn Booty would have been on the same team, then you could have had Hooker Booty jokes. But beyond that, point is you trade up for a Ryno, a Bradshaw, an Elway, a Luck, not 53% Richardson. Again, Drew, we're going to agree to disagree on that. Myself personally, I think a lot of that 53% was bad footwork and that kind of stuff that can be corrected. I think that, there's a lot of the Josh Allen type stuff with Richardson that can be corrected. It's not just accuracy that can't be fixed. It's mechanics, it's footwork, it's things like that. The potential was through the roof there. That's the thing that I was enamored with, and if it was me, I would have made the move on it. Didn't work out that way. With a play like that, Hooker's going to get paid. Yeah, the jokes are going to write themselves for the next however long he is in the league. So, on the plus side, being he's in Detroit, we get to be a little bit we get to use the jokes a little bit more then, I guess. But didn't we draft John David Booty? Yeah. Was he drafted or was he an undrafted free agent? I don't remember. But either way, they had Booty on the roster there for a while. Richardson will end up Andre Ware. He very well could. Time will tell, I guess. Like I said, personally, I liked the guy. I liked him. I wanted him. I know you didn't like him, Drew. I trust your judgment on player breakdowns and stuff because you dive into it a lot deeper than I do. There was just something about him and some of the stuff I saw, the potential and stuff that I liked, and I thought, that he had the potential to potentially be something great, and he very well may be that. He may fall flat on his face and be a bust. We can get General Booty in a few years. Of course, yeah, there's also that he's not a quarterback, but the guy out of Alabama, whose name is Kool-Aid. I forget what I think he's a cornerback. Drew and Ted will make Hooker jokes when he's on the sidelines. Look at that Hooker on the bench. Hooker's not even dressed for the game. Not that I didn't like him. It was the cost of getting him, which worries me. That I understand, Drew. I do. Like I said, I wasn't as concerned about it as a lot of people, due to the stuff I talked about with, how past drafts have gone, still been competitive with it. It's that no risk it, no biscuit kind of mentality, I guess. We've always been so passive when it's come to drafting quarterbacks. We've never moved up to get our guy. They've either fallen into our lap or we picked a guy later in the rounds. Who is the last quarterback you really liked? As far as guys that we've drafted, it's probably going to go back to Culpepper. maybe. I mean, realistically, the ones that, we've got, of course, Sir Francis of Bloomington, we've got Tommy Kramer, we've got Dante Culpepper, and then there's everybody else. Beyond that, of course, from 2006 on, we had no shot at quarterback because, of course, you had first Brad Childerson there who thought he was a quarterback guru and, was molding lumps of clay and things like that. You've got, then you had Rick Spielman, who, of course, was basically, at least in some part, responsible from 2006 to 2021, but had gotten fired in Miami because he couldn't find a quarterback there. And then we brought him here. He could not find a quarterback here. Just Vikings quarterbacks, not necessarily a draft guy. I mean, I loved Case Keenum in 17. I knew that was a lightning in the bottle kind of thing, and that he wasn't going to be, he couldn't maintain what he did in 2017. So I was okay moving on from him. Of course, before that, you had the 1 year of zombie Brett Favre. That was one of the most fun seasons I ever remember. Back in the day, even when Favre played for that team from Wisconsin, I always respected how that man played the game because he played it. You could tell how much he loved playing the game when he was out there, how fired up, how excited he was, all that other stuff. I always respected Brett Favre for the way he played the game. And that 2009 year he was here, I absolutely loved that. I know a lot of people were, oh, he's an ex-Packer. I don't care. Really, like I've said this before too, I don't care if Satan himself puts on a purple jersey and plays quarterback for this team. If we win a Super Bowl, I'm going to be happy. I don't care who the quarterback is. The name on the back of the jersey is irrelevant. It is the name on the front of the jersey, and it's holding up that Lombardi trophy at the end of the season. How do I know Keenum wouldn't have done better in 18 without signing Kirk? They'd have had that money to. I mean, that's a fair point, Toonses. I just kind of look at, how he played again once he left here. Went to Cleveland, didn't do much. Of course, that's Cleveland. Backing up in Buffalo, not so much. It's just the biggest, and of course we lost the offensive coordinator. What's his butt? The one that went to the Giants. Can't think of his name right now, but Shermer. That going from Shermer to old DeFilippo the clown at offensive coordinator. I don't know how that would have worked with Keenum. It may have worked out okay, but that's where we started getting into that whole schism with Zimmer and the offense and the defensive kind of stuff that didn't jive too well. So I don't know that Keenum. I think Keenum was a one-year wonder, and we got everything out of him we could. I like Bradford until he broke Worthless Opinion. Bradford was a great quarterback, but he was built out of balsa wood and had the durability of a Fabergé egg dropped off the Empire State Building. You look at the guy and his knee fell apart and he was out for 6 weeks kind of thing. What if you put on a Vikings jersey, Ant? You ain't throwing touchdown passes, Ant. I'm sorry, buddy. Evan Parker, welcome to the show. What if Lamar fell? We didn't sign Kirk. I think we would have taken Lamar. Would have taken Lamar at 32. I mean, I wasn't a big Lamar fan coming out of college either. I don't know that Lamar Jackson would have fit what Mike Zimmer wanted to do, because Mike Zimmer hated mobile quarterbacks. Part of the reason why he never gave the vote of confidence to Case Keenum that entire year, I think, because mobile quarterbacks always gave his defense fits, and I think he hated him because of it. I honestly do, and I do not think Zimmer would have taken Lamar Jackson. If its and butts were candy nuts, every day would be frickin' Christmas. Yes. I agree 100% with that one, Toonses. Zimmer could have run. He could, yes, he could have, but with a guy like Lamar Jackson, plays are going to go off script, and they're not going to be run exactly the way he wants things done. And I think that part would have drove him absolutely nuts. I truly do. And the thing with, when Baltimore drafted Lamar Jackson, they completely changed their offense to fit it around his skill set. I don't think Zimmer would have done that here. Zimmer had his 1992 mentality, back Bill Parcells days, of what an offense should be. Run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, run the ball on third down, or throw a pass on third down if you absolutely have to. But I don't think he would have wanted to change things up to make it fit Lamar Jackson's skill set. I really don't think he would have. Drew posted a question here. Do you think Zadarius Smith, Hunter, and Cook will be traded for draft assets to move up in 2024 and draft a quarterback or other premier player? Dalvin Cook, I believe, will be gone within a month, or in a month, because right now, I think the reason why he was not traded during the draft is I don't think he can pass a physical yet after his surgery. Once we get past June 1st, we also gain another $2 to $3 million in cap space from him. So if they can't find a trade partner after June 1st, I think they're just going to release Cook. I really do. Because looking at the running back room, we do not re-sign Alexander Mattison if we expect Dalvin Cook to be here. We do not draft a running back if we expect Dalvin Cook to be here. We've got 5 running backs in the stable. So Cook is gone after June 1st. I fully believe that. Zadarius Smith, I think he probably has to ends up being moved at some point in time here. I know the Vikings came out today and said that they want him on the team this year again. Now, whether that is lip service to try to drive up some trade value for him, I think that's probably the most likely scenario. I believe they do that, and I believe that they try to work out a deal to extend Danielle Hunter. But to do that, they're going to need the money that you're going to get from Dalvin Cook and Zadarius Smith to make that contract work. Because Danielle Hunter has done team-friendly deals pretty much the entire time he's been here. He's going to want to get paid this time, fully deserves to get paid this time, because this is probably his last chance at a big payday. Dan can't afford both Hunter and Z, just what I was saying there. Now, do we get anything for Zadarius, or is he just outright released? I don't know what the market is. I mean, you'd think there would be a market for him. The guy had 10 sacks last year. But, also if the teams know that we're probably going to release him anyway, you're probably not going to get much for him. Danielle Hunter would be the clear player that you could get the most out of. As far as draft capital, at very least, you get a high second. You probably could get a first-round pick for him yet. He's still young enough to where I think you could get that from the right team. I honestly thought that could have been part of the plan this year had they, tried to move up with Arizona to 3 or that kind of thing if they wanted one of the Richardson or somebody like that. But I think right now, I think Hunter's on the team this year. They have to do something because I don't think he's showing up with the contract he's on right now. So I guess we'll see with that. Doc echoes my statements there pretty much, I think. My worthless opinion is Toons is hero because he got the office trivia question right. But anyway, we've been going on about 40 minutes here, guys. So I've always wanted to try to keep these shows a little bit shorter. So I think we're going to do a wrap here. Don't forget, Wednesday, Brunswick's Best returns with the best players to wear number 7 in Minnesota Vikings history. And with the NFL schedule being released on Thursday night, Friday night, Vikings Uncensored goes live. Brunswick and I will break down the 2023 schedule. Plus, since we have not been on since the draft itself, we will do a quick recap of our thoughts on the draft picks and that kind of stuff. Move Hunter back to what he really is, a sack specialist. Absolutely, Drew. I do not ever want to see Daniil Hunter dropping off in coverage like Donachelle had him doing last year. Ponder on Brunswick's Best for number 7. You'll have to watch on Wednesday and find out, G-Mac. Too bad there's no Wheel of Ryan. The producer of Ryan does not have enough hands to be doing all that, and I can't afford to hire a cat. So no Wheel of Ryno this week anyway. We'll do some giveaways. We still have a few Vikings Uncensored t-shirts that we can maybe do some giveaways on, and looking at some other stuff as we get closer to the season. But with that, again, thank you guys for showing up. Always enjoy interacting with you guys and talking football. Again, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, you'll see Brunswick's Best number 7. And Friday night, 6 p.m. Central Time, Vikings Uncensored live with a breakdown of the schedule and kind of a recap of the draft to put a bow on that. But beyond that, again, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you Friday. Have a good one.